Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing an interview with Dan from Ternio, which the Turn technology, which is a whole nother interview and show that I would do. It's a really cool project. They're partnering with Uberstate. So I've been looking at Uberstate and want to find out some more about it. So we're going to talk to the CEO and learn all about it, because there's a lot of cool things, especially with this partnership. This is kind of near and dear to my heart. If you guys know what happened to me with Crypto.com, I really didn't talk about it when it did happen. Talked about it a little bit afterwards, but I lost a lot of money, and they pretty much just gave me the middle finger. So
you were one of many.
Yeah. Well, I got hacked. And they took like $16,000 from my account. And the one thing I don't get, and I can't, there's no way for me to rationalize, is how they had my PIN, because I never wrote it down. It wasn't anywhere. They did hack it in my email, so they were able to verify the withdrawals through email, but I never had my PIN anywhere. It was just in my head and with Crypto.com. So never got that, but they told me, you know, go jump in a lake. So that's the way it is. So that's gonna be one of my questions, is on security and customer service, because that's another thing about customer service when it comes to these products, which we're jumping off of before we even got started. So why don't you guys introduce yourself? Tell me what you do and how you got into the space in general, and then we'll jump off from there.
Sure. Daniel, I don't know if you want to take that away, and we'll follow you.
Go first, I'll follow.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm Jess Davis. I'm the CEO of Uberstate. This is my co-founder and president, Marlon Richards. We've been working together on this exciting project now for about 3.5, 4 years now, being able to bring cryptocurrency into a real world use case using not only our own blockchain, but other blockchains where people can, just like a bank, have a wallet and spend wherever credit or debit is accepted. So we both come from legacy industries. I'm from a commercial real estate and banking background. Marlon is from a private equity and commercial insurance background, so we're pretty familiar with the rules and regulations, as it were. I'll let Marlon explain a little bit more about his history as well.
Oh, well, pleasure to be on your show here, Sean. My name is Marlon Richards, and I've actually been in finance for the last 15 plus years. So we originally kind of met randomly on LinkedIn, Jess and I, as we were looking at ways of crowdfunding commercial real estate. That was originally how we got down the blockchain path, because 2017 cryptocurrency kind of reared its head, and we said, how can we kind of start to implement cryptocurrency in certain use cases? So over the years, we've just been kind of developing and different use cases that involve cryptocurrency and traditional finance. One of the things that I think you kind of touched on just earlier was we noticed that there are certain things that were lacking just in the industry in general. And one of that is just the knowledge of regulation, whether that's the KYC measures or the insurance measures that you kind of mentioned. And then just overall customer service, right? It's like, okay, well, when something does go wrong, like who can you talk to? So we coming from those backgrounds, we looked at ways that we could take our knowledge and implement it in the world of crypto and traditional. So that's been our I guess our implementation into the blockchain over the last few years, and yeah, it's been fun.
Cool. Yeah, I think real estate is just one of the best use cases for blockchain and crypto, period. So many aspects of it, and it's still, I think, virtually untouched.
We would agree.
Absolutely.
And Dan the man?
Yeah, I'll just say, I don't want to make this about me, really, but I'll say, look, we're, CEO, co-founder, Ternio, based out of Atlanta, Georgia. We're an American company registered with FinCEN, SEC. We're a Visa Fast Track partner. The main thing about us is our company provides interoperability between cryptocurrencies and traditional systems like debit cards, bank accounts, etc. Right? And so we're really excited about working with Uberstate because these are great guys. They're very serious about wanting to get this done, and we white label our technology to other companies, to other fintechs like Uberstate. So I'm really excited to see what these guys are going to do in the marketplace, specifically with the use case around the real estate token. And we're working together to execute that. And for anybody who follows Uberstate can feel confident that knowing that this is going to come to fruition because, like I said, we are a Visa Fast Track partner, but we already have like the Litecoin card out. We have our own block card. We're working with Paxful that's been announced, and a lot of others in the space. So I think Uberstate picked a great partner. Hopefully, not trying to sound egotistical, but the point is they're serious guys, and they're wanting to deliver. And they've made it very clear to me how important it is for them to deliver for their customers, for their people, their tribe of people in their community. So I just think it's important that they understand that from like a unbiased third party.
Well, for me, being a third party, I can tell you that the partnership really got me excited about Uberstate. It did. There's a difference between good ideas and implementation of those good ideas, and I think this partnership is the definite implementation of a good idea, and is really, really good. With the lexicon technology, all the stuff that you guys are working on, I think that you're going to bring to fruition a lot of the goals that the Uberstate wants to accomplish. Speaking of those goals, can you give me just kind of in a nutshell, Jess and Marlon, what Uberstate is and what you're going to accomplish? Also, if the apps are live, if they are, what do they have available now, and what is the future going to hold for those available? What you can do on your app?
Sure. Maybe I could give you like the elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Uberstate is essentially a banking as a service platform for cryptocurrency where you can earn rewards and spend them through the all-in-one wallet systems that we have. We do have a product suite that we're developing regarding staking and our own algorithms there. We're just testing out. There is a thought process regarding micro funds and being able to scroll those out. So we are examining what on the regulatory or compliance side we may be missing in order to deliver that solution to consumers. One thing that we're really focused on from a company perspective is investor protection and making sure that we can just deliver long-term sustainable great experience overall on the platform, along with products that meet jurisdictional compliance and whatever areas we offer them in. So we're working with companies like Ternio. We're working with companies that are global program managers, like for example Intercash. That's one of the counterparties that we've been speaking to, and really trying to set up the infrastructure regarding the parallel between banking and cryptocurrency is a very long-term journey. You're currently seeing the adoption happen across the board, and figureheads like major CEOs are stepping in to say that they're for or against cryptocurrency. So it's becoming a popular culture topic. Which means we're kind of at a tipping point and in a great place, right?
You've opened the door to something that I wasn't going to talk about. And it's not on my list of questions.
Sure.
But I've noticed that too. I've noticed that that the financial services side has seemed to really embrace crypto recently this year. Even payments like Visa, MasterCard, other payment process, PayPal's, they've all kind of jumped in. But at the same time, I think the hardcore legacy banking industry is finally standing up and saying, no, we really don't like this. When it comes to that, I have used to be my background on my Twitter, but the old saying by Gandhi, first they ignore you, then they they laugh at you, then then they fight you, and then you win. So, are you guys? Are you looking at that down the road? The fight that I personally think is gonna come from the banking industry, but I mean they're old and they're kind of toothless when they've ruined everything, so they really don't have a good leg to stand on. And it seems to me, I'm very hopeful about it because of payment systems and all the positives on the other side. If it is a pick your side kind of thing, I think that everything is going to go with innovation and is going to go with crypto. What do you guys? This is just really personal. But what are you guys' thoughts on that?
What do you think? I mean, that's a really broad brush, but so are many of the conversations that revolve around this industry. What I would say is that here's a question for you, Sean, and it's one that we can relate. When was the first time you saw a cell phone?
Yeah, it was back in the 80s. Yeah.
Back in the 80s. Okay. So when you saw that cell phone, did you have any idea as to where that technology was going to go? Any thought process there? You just thought, oh, that's cool. Here's a phone. It's not really connected to like a landline and I can carry it around kind of thing. Or because I know what I thought. I thought, wow, like if we're at that part in the movie, what happens when instead of like a phone this big, you have a phone like this big,
mm-hmm.
Right? So we're at the part in the movie where I think you're starting to see like the first iterations of what blockchain will be to the global financial market. And if I'm like, we've discussed it on several occasions, just in terms of how to explain, the notion of electronic money to somebody or internet currency. And it's a lot like email. I have a wallet, you have a wallet. You're in Atlanta, I'm in, Winnipeg, right? I send you money to your wallet. It's there in your wallet in 5-10 minutes, just like email. Right?
Yeah, that's a lot easier, I think, to explain to people because nobody really uses money anymore. My friends are always talking about my crazy internet money, and I said something, and my friend's like, "Nah, man, I only deal in cash. I get paid in cash." I said, "Really?
Right.
In the 1920s, you go to the teller every Friday, and she gives some money from behind the cage, does she?" She's like, "No." I was like, "No, man. You look at a screen, you got numbers on it, and then you use a piece of plastic, and someone takes some numbers off." I said, "You already use digital money.
That's right.
That's not, And then he says about monopoly money. I was like, "No, you're the one that uses monopoly money, bro." So yeah. I think when it comes to the masses, it's everyone's kind of used to it now. So yeah, I think I'm excited. I'm very excited.
One of the questions you asked though, Sean, is like, is there going to be a fight, right, between the legacy guys and the technologists of tomorrow? I don't think that there has to be, right? Like, there at the end of the day, there's technology. What it really does is it just helps our lives that much easier. It brings ease to our lives. That's the reason why we use cell phones and walk around with them now, right? It's the ease that it brings to our life, that we don't have to sit at home anymore and actually wait for somebody to call you. You can go and run your errands and do all of those things, right? I think that cryptocurrency or blockchain, whichever term you kind of want to use, is going to do that as well, right? It's just going to bring a lot more ease to our lives. When I want to send money across the ocean to Jamaica, it shouldn't cost me an extra $100 or fee or whatever that fee is, which is pretty expensive at this present moment.
Or 2 days.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shouldn't take that long. Seeing the way that we get things as instantaneously as we do,
Marlon,
use.
You and I both come from an insurance background, so I think that's also a really big industry that's not,
it's ancient.
It's very ancient. It's very entrenched, and a lot of the things. It's also very mysterious to people. People don't understand how insurance companies can do certain things legally, but it's because they're so. The lobbies and the laws are really set up for insurance companies, not necessarily for consumers. But bringing that into the transparency of blockchain, I think it's going to be a huge leap forward. And speaking of leap forwards, I mean, you're talking about making things easier for the consumer with what you're doing with blockchain and with crypto. It's really going to leapfrog a lot of customers and consumers. People who have never actually had a bank account ever are going to completely jump over that whole going to the bank, sitting down, waiting in line, filling out forms. They're just going to go right from that to having a digital bank account with their, on their phone, which I think is really cool. It's very exciting. Like that, when it brings back cell phones, a lot of towns never actually had, in small villages in parts of the world, they never actually had a landline service. To get to a phone, you'd have to go 5 miles down the road or whatever, because they had the phones there. Whereas now, those places have cell phone towers that reach them. So it's really, I think, when the leapfrog technology is just super, super cool. As far as your app, what's going on with the apps?
So the application is being developed with our team presently, both our internal tech team and Ternio. It'll ultimately be a white label version of what you come to expect from the block card. We are onboarding with the block card first, as the vehicle that we will use to transact with, and potentially in the long term have our own program, etc. We feel very confident about the relationship with Ternio. You mentioned customer service. These guys are top notch when it comes to that. Transparency, absolutely one of the best companies that we've dealt with in the space, just for knowing what to expect and how to operate. And I think that's really what goes missing for a lot of people with cryptocurrency, because it's a whole new language. For most people, like if you ask them, do you know what HODL means? They're going to tell you no. What does it mean? Hold, right? There's a lot. It's a very eclectic universe out there. You have CEOs that talk this language that no consumer is going to be able to understand. You have companies earning billions of dollars with virtually no regulation on all sides of the planet. So the matter of fact is, a lot of these large organizations are already in blockchain. Like when you talk about Bitcoin, well, Bitcoin's price to a degree is also working in tandem with the futures market. Well, who's the futures market? The New York Stock Exchange, which owns Bakkt, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and the other companies that even attempt to do anything remotely related to that get slapped with lawsuits. What I think that the real risk in industries like this is that they grow so quickly and they come almost out of nowhere that there's no control. And that can lead to some pretty significant loopholes, such as the one that you would have experienced even with your own bank. I haven't used crypto.com, but I know a lot of my peers are. I see people, posting about it. Oh, did you get the card? Right? Because it's here in Canada. I still haven't been able to log on to the damn thing, so they must know who we are, because I can't get a profile on crypto.com. So crypto.com, fix that, please. I'd like to try your product. But there's a lot that people are just learning about now that will become almost second nature as the technology improves, just like email or text. How many times a day do you text? I don't even know the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to know when I first started texting, because they would tell you had the number.
Yeah.
Is that
Honestly,
real? Did I really text somebody 500 times?
Like, I think now, like, I was joking around with one of my buddies the other day, and I'm like, who did you send your first text to? It's like a rite of passage, right?
Mm.
Like, who was that first person? Nobody can even remember, because there's so many thousands of texts they send per week.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But Dan, if we're going to hit on the customer service part, one of the issues that I have with crypto.com is they don't know what project they are.
Mm.
I mean, I used them a lot. They were my main bank. I pretty much didn't use my old bank much anymore. My debit card, everything went to crypto.com because of the cash back, which is another question I got for you on the cash back, because your cash back is pretty good.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah. But whenever I would have a problem, which is a clear banking problem, like I had a fraudulent charge that I didn't make, nothing to do with it, I would say, hey, customer service, I have this problem with this charge. And like, well, let me get with the team and see what I can do. And I'm like, no, you're not a crypto project with this bank. There's clear, defined bank things.
But are they a bank? They're not really a bank, though, really.
Well,
No.
that's what I'm saying. It's like sometimes they're a crypto project, and then sometimes there's a bank. If I have a banking problem, like I said, hey, I bought, made an order at Walmart. It was like $140, but they didn't have $20 worth of the stuff, so this charge should only be $120, and it's $140.
Right.
Let me get with the team. We'll talk about it and see what we can do. I'm like,
that's not what I want to hear. See what we can work out.
Yeah, that's not what I want to hear from my bank. This is
that's because, remember, you're not a fucking bank. Am I allowed to curse?
But they say this is our banking side is a bank, or with whatever.
They're not a bank. They're not a bank.
In the beginning, they did say that. In the beginning, they did say that. That's one of the reasons why they had such trouble getting in the EU. But and the customer service takes days.
Okay, I've heard this, and I really try hard not to just completely, talk shit about a competitor.
It's really a big deal to me as the person that uses it, and I can see that crypto's not going to make it. This isn't going to move forward.
Let me ask you a question. You're surprised that a company that force converted people from a token that had 25 million into what then became 100 billion without giving people the option, in contradiction of what they committed to people, you're surprised that that company is somehow now has bad customer service.
Yeah, because I really looked at it as two separate entities. At your crypto side and banking side should be the banking side. But
they're not a bank, and they don't have a banking side. They have a card, and the card is issued from a bank. And
and they push that bank as this is our bank. Everything with the banking side is going to be this bank. That is why I assumed, and that's why I think consumers would assume it's going to be like banking rules.
Here's what I'm worried about. Okay, Crypto.com is a domain, not the company. The domain. Genius marketing move. Okay, so now you've got like Dmitry from Russia owns Crypto.com. And it's like, okay, well that's great, but now anything you do is basically going to represent the entire industry, all of it. So for example, if you're not like doing things, let's just say it's just shoddy, it's not, let's just say it's not criminal behavior and it's not, legal behavior, but let's just say it's just poor ethics or just bad. It's just like the old days of cable. Like Comcast, for the longest time, operated in a very legal, compliant way, but boy, did they have the worst customer service, to the point where South Park was literally created a whole episode around, how bad the customer service, they took pleasure out of how bad the customer service was. So I would say, listen, like, we're an American company. We are held to standards legally in the United States. I think we're very excited about working at Uberstate, and I don't think that the challenges you've had, look, we're not perfect, okay? Like, obviously, no one, I'm not Bitcoin Jesus or anything like that, but we do care, and we want to make it right. And if you're gonna, I will say that Uberstate, it wants to make it right, and I think that when everything's all said and done and launches, I think people are gonna have a good experience, and that's the main thing. I really don't want to spend time, because I have a lot of personal opinions. They're a competitor, and I'm biased. So take all of my, talking trash as it is. It's literally from a competitor. So FYI. But I think Uberstate's going to do a great job, and I think we're going to have great experience for customers, and the customer service will be up to par.
One of the big things I want to ask you about is you're going to have Forex and crypto. Are they connected? Are they separate? Can you focus different percentages of your portfolio on one versus the other?
Yeah, so like those two are different products. It's a different product suite. What we are looking at just on the Forex side is what is the availability of in the CFD market for some of our algorithms. So, contracts for difference versus, actually physically holding the Bitcoin or Ethereum in a wallet and trading against, a 5-minute chart, longing and shorting, that CFD to obtain, basis points that go back to a wallet. At the end of the day, what we're really looking for is, to remain compliant in whatever products we scroll out. So we're not necessarily here to talk about the product suite yet. We're here to talk about our relationship with Ternio and how we feel that will positively impact the overall perception in the industry, the customer service behind the industry, and just giving like a real face to some of these companies. Because, my biggest thing is like, you have all of these companies, and the virtual companies, where are they located? Where? Then you actually go and you look at the registration on some of these businesses, and they're like often Seychelles or Caymans in some post office box.
Madagascar, yeah.
Yeah, like there's not a real location. And if there's not a real location, like how do you really prove that you have, employees, you have infrastructure? How do you know it's not just a computer running the whole business? And then, the complexities of going into certain jurisdictions. Like we know we're pretty much covered here in Canada with our MSB license. We know that as we grow, we're going to have various licenses that we acquire, but we also have partners that lead us into those markets and manage those corporate assets efficiently, right? So like doing that is very different than, as Daniel pointed out, just kind of rushing to get an MVP out there that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't, but overall sets a standard, which is often not a very high standard, but a standard nonetheless for other companies to either gravitate towards or move away from. Crypto is really good at one thing, I believe, and that's marketing. Like there's so much marketing out there on Telegram, all these different communities, that it's hard to know what's real. So we're just trying to keep it real and build something that's going to last, right?
Are you going to be registered with FinCEN and FINRA?
So we are registered with FinTrack here in Canada. Mm-hmm. So we're an MSB, and we have our own policies and procedures chief anti-money laundering officer, and back office team that verify all of our transactions and monitor our bank accounts daily, hourly in some cases. With what we're doing with Ternio, we're onboarding onto their platform, and vis-a-vis them, their banking infrastructure and their compliance structure will be able to connect different jurisdictions. The primary jurisdiction will be North America for now, and America before Canada, so US before Canada, but we'll be covered there. As we move into, Europe, Asia, we'll have to have a different license or authority to operate in those jurisdictions regardless. So, but like the main thing is that we're a real company run by people who really give a damn about the customer experience and the overall sustainability of the business.
And I'll speak to flip on top of that. So on the regulatory side, we're of course a known quantity because I'm in Alpharetta, which is a suburb of Atlanta, huge fintech hub. Atlanta's got a lot going on here with fintech and payments and crypto. Okay, we're registered with the SEC, registered with FinCEN in all 50 states as a money transmitter. We have a BIT license application pending. We're registered with the UK, or application pending for the UK FCA, but they're way behind on their applications for crypto custodial. We have a European application pending, but we have a whole legal framework, and we work with like 5 or 6 banks and trusts to basically give us a legal framework for money flow, which is really important. And it's very complicated, depending upon what country you're dealing in. Europe has, to be honest, I think Europe makes the United States look like a cakewalk, but it's possibly because I'm an American. We had to really educate ourselves and the legality and the complexity of everything. And so the main thing, though, is when you're dealing with card issuance and you're issuing a Visa card or a MasterCard and you're dealing with bank accounts, you're going through so much vetting from the banks themselves, because the banks are the ones that are held accountable by the regulators. So if we do something wrong, it's like, okay, we'll have a bad reputation. If the bank the bank is ultimately the one held accountable, by the regulator, right? So this is where they fully give us a proctology exam for everything, from our money flows to everything. And we're dealing with the regulators, which I have another call with the regulator today at 4:30. It's very, very intense process, and that's why, frankly, it's hard. It's a moat. It's very difficult to run a fintech business plus crypto, but if a company is doing it and they're doing it the right way, it's hard. Regulations are not easy, but if done well and reasonable, it's also a way of building trust for consumers and about making sure people are held accountable for bad actions. You don't want bad actors in the space, and so by working with Uberstate, we're basically saying, hey, you fall under our compliance structure. We manage all the compliance, regulatory, the money flow to make sure everything is solid. We're making sure everything is good. The bank is comfortable with that, and it all works, But that's because, once again, the bank's not going to stick their neck out if they don't fully trust you 100%. So you can't build a reputation you have to build a good reputation. You have to keep it, because it only takes a minute for you to do something wrong. Like a competitor here in Alpharetta, literally, they're well known, but they literally had a fine with OFAC because they had been a whole bunch of money that they allowed people to send out to these sanctioned countries. It's that kind of stuff that you may or may not agree with, but at the end of the day, it's the law, and as an American company, if you don't follow the law, there's a pretty significant penalty, everything from civil fines to criminal, type behavior. So we have a criminal type prosecution. So you really have to take that stuff seriously.
Yeah, you talked about the kind of the chain of a lot of people don't know this. I'm really good friends with John Caron, and I work with him on a couple of projects. He's the former CEO of the Chicago Stock Exchange, and just when we're going over to KYC and AML stuff, there's like a chain, like you said. You don't have to worry about it as much because it's coming from a bank, and the bank had to worry about it. Like they could take a trade in from Schwab. They don't have to worry that much because Schwab would have had to do. If the regulators come to them, they just say, "Well, I took it from Schwab," and Schwab would say, "Well, I took it from TD Ameritrade," and basically it goes through to wherever it originated, and they're 100%, responsible for everything that went on.
Yeah,
So
right.
once they get through that door of the KYC and AML, it's a lot easier for the transaction or whatever it is to move on. If we could, I mean, I want to go over Uberstate and just some of the stuff that you're doing and you have planned. Can you go over what the Friday wallet is?
Yeah, so the thought process there is you create a wallet system that pays every Friday. Very similar to how people get paid, on the job, right? What we're trying to figure out as a company is how feasible it is to return money more than just once a month or quarterly, because there's a huge accounting process behind that. So, part of our marketing has been, some really cool terminologies and things that you haven't yet seen. Friday is just that one day of the week where everybody seems to just go, I'm glad we made it this far, right? So it's kind of sticks out as something that ultimately, people will remember, if you understand, right? The microfunds, like I said, we're working with some compliance experts in that field, as well as notable asset managers with track records, so that when people invest, when that time comes and it is open to the public, there's a long-term sustainable track record with a major asset manager, so that there's a relatively 100% chance you're not going to lose your money, right?
It's one of the reasons why we believe, Sean, partnerships are so important, right? You take the partnership that we have here with a company like Ternio, and they are literally able to fast track a company like Uberstate in a regulatory manner to where we want to be, right, and where we need to be. And it's just through simple collaboration that allows that, right? So we look for really good partnerships that we take some time and vet and understand and see where the collaboration happens, and usually that's where the magic happens, right? So
do you have any other partnerships you want to go over or let everyone know about?
No, this is the main one for now that is going to allow our company as a fintech to level up. And if nobody has yet had the opportunity to try the block card, Sean, maybe you want to give a switch or an opportunity to Ternio if you're not yet on the platform.
Yeah, it is an amazing product, amazing product. Yeah, it is very cool. And
I'll just say, it's got bank accounts. You got bank accounts, and it's not the same thing. It's not a crypto exchange, right? Like a lot of people are in the crypto exchange business, and that's fine. Like that's quite cool. I think DeFi is the future there, but at the end of the day, like you get a bank account, FDIC insured, you can plat in your money. You get a debit card instantly. In five minutes, you can sign up, deposit crypto, and this is what Uberstate will have, right? Because it's the same technology. So you can sign up, deposit your cryptocurrency. Now, the block card works off of our token. Uberstate's card will work off of their token because it'll have value to it, and then you'll spend it. We'll convert it at the time of point of sale. So you keep it in your wallet, and when you swipe your card, it gets converted to cash because Walmart's not going to take, Bitcoin or whatever, right? But it's convenient to the extent to which you want to pull it out and withdraw it in the form of its natural state. You can withdraw it on the blockchain, which is kind of cool. It's not like some others where they'll force convert everything into cash, put it on the card, and what you have is a glorified Walgreens gift card. That's not exactly, breaking boundaries of excitement for me. The other thing is, after you sign up and you get a virtual card instantly through a eKYC process, you can plug that into your phone, and you'll have Apple Pay, Google Pay, and Samsung Pay. And so literally in a matter of 5 minutes, you can be paying in store, and I'll show you my phone here for a second, in store, and you can plug in your virtual card and right there. And so like, I think to me, that's like the future. And then you layer in the bank account part, and you kind of, you got everything. And there's a lot more that I can't share with you here. It's coming for us. It's coming for Uberstate. But it's going to be really exciting stuff. And the main thing is that all of us here in your audience are kind of in a really special moment in time. That I like what Jess was saying about the cell phone. Certainly with the cell phone, I'd never expected it to become the thing that it became. and it is now everything. You see that thing in the background where it's like all this stuff on the desk, and it plucks away each one of these items where it becomes your calendar, it becomes your address book. No more Rolodex. What the hell is that? You know, it's your clock. You know, it's your everything basically. Yeah, it's everything. So I think blockchain is going to have that same kind of dynamic capability. It's going to eliminate borders. We're already saying that, but it's going to be done at a mainstream level. When I say crypto, people hear Bitcoin, but it really is just you pick your favorite. You know, it's stable money, right? It's Canadian dollars. I mean, today, if you wanted to go from Canadian dollars into dollars, that's kind of expensive because you got to go through some third party. Who the hell knows what the real market price is? They screw you. Crypto, you're going to be able to tap into that immediately, and you're going to be able to convert yourself from, you know, whatever you want into whatever you want. And you, by the way, you don't need permission from anybody else to do it. You just do it.
Yeah. One of the things that's happening for us right now is that we're noticing the trends in the industry, and they're all pointing towards a tipping point where consumers understand that this is a risk that they should take on some level, whether it's, you know, 1% of their overall portfolio, whether it's they're going to get a friend or a family member to purchase their first Bitcoin, whether it's I'm going to go and buy a Bitcoin from an ATM, or I just saw a commercial with Bitcoin in it. Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrency will be the new email in 10 years from now. What's happening now is that people are just figuring out how simple it is to use, and the acceleration of that use case will be like, you know, cards that you keep in your wallet that, you know, you can pay for everyday items or major expenses with, right? And our use case started off in the real estate vertical because that's, you know, those are the industries that we're coming from. I think where the intersection of cryptocurrency and real estate, nobody's really looking at that except for on the security side and the securitization of real estate, but there are many more avenues that people have not explored. We have an upcoming announcement or partnership with R3 and Quarter Blockchain on that, where we'll be developing property-related technology for commercial and residential real estate. So that's another initiative that's coming up later on in the year. And I think that, you know, it would be healthy maybe every few months to check in and do one of these things with you, Sean, because it's been really easy to speak to you, right? Just bring new guests on.
That would be really cool. That'd be cool. Right? I'd be definitely up for that. Another thing with real estate, which I had said, it was just so open. You know, there's parts in the world where just the fact that you can prove you own this land, you know, and it's not a piece of paper that can be stolen, burned. You know, if it's on the blockchain, that's it. It doesn't matter if your governments change, if there's 2 coups in 5 years. You have right here, my family owns this property. This is, you know, this is our land. Right. You know, if things get fixed and it gets back to normal in that country, if everything's destroyed, there's no way for you to say, you know, this land's been in my family for 500 years. You know, there's nothing to prove it. But with the, you know, with blockchain tech, you have that. I'm friends with you said Bitcoin Jesus, with Roger Ver, and we were talking a while back, and there's so many things that we say, and you don't realize how profound they are because we're living through history. You know, with I think crypto and blockchain, that true history was only invented once the blockchain was invented, because it could always be rewritten by a victor. It could always be changed, you know, down the line by like things that Hitler would try to do. If you destroy all information, you can rewrite it.
It has, and it will. It's true.
With the invention of blockchain, you can't do it. When something happens, and if it's put down, that's it. That record is there. So we're just saying the true recording of history didn't start till the blockchain was invented. It's just it's such a weird thing when you really think about it, that how profound that really is. But getting off the profound stuff, what about this cash back? What are you going to be having cash back, and how's it paid?
Okay, so good question. I think we're going to want to keep to an industry standard there that's somewhat in line with what Blockhart has already done. So Daniel, I think you were taught like the advertised rate was something over 6%, something like that. Is that what you guys were doing?
It is, but it's because it's in our token, so it's incentivization to be a token holder. But yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, something that would be something that we would do, around that level, or create a rewards program specific to retailers, right? Because that's also popular. We have some parallels with fintechs here in Canada, like Neo Financial, for example, that came out with their own credit card program, where when you go to certain retailers, they pay you more in almost like an electronic dollar or cash back. So maybe we haven't done enough research on that, but it will be industry standard and potentially with the right partners, something that sets a new standard for the industry.
Something like double for gas and groceries and something like that.
Yeah, something along those lines that customers can really compare with, their everyday banking units, right? So I know, MasterCard has 1,000 programs like that. So it's really just to figure out what works for us as a company, because there's a cost to it, obviously, and we just want to make sure that we're not over-promising and under-delivering, which, again, this space is full of.
I have an idea. Every time you use one of Uberstate's cards, we token on Sean's house, we took to Sean's house, and we sell a little bit every time of Sean's house. So he has no ownership.
Great.
And we do it to all of his neighbors. This is possibly an unlimited supply of rewards.
It's not that
bad. Yeah, you're a genius.
I don't know where to come up with it.
Right?
Sean, you'll be rich in no time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean didn't like that idea too much.
No, I like that idea of being rich.
That wasn't convincing, Sean.
Selling my house off bit by bit. Literally bit by bit. Yeah, no problem.
Bit by bit. Got it.
One thing I want to ask about is the on the payout. You can lock up your Bitcoin or your ETH for like a 12-month period. So can anyone get access back to that through like a
yeah? So like
one more thing, is the interest paid not locked?
Right. So one of the features would be obviously we would want the Bitcoin or the Ethereum in a wallet for a certain amount of time, because it just affords us the opportunity to pool as much of it in there as possible. Mm-hmm. But the rewards would be should be spendable, right? So whether that's monthly or quarterly or whatever it ends up being in accordance with our product suite, then those rewards should be accessible. We believe that. I think a lot of what we're trying to accomplish is, balancing of the books, because there's a lot of money that gets spent on the implementation of these programs, yet to keep them running is equally expensive. So I would say, for consumers that are following, we want to make rewards as accessible for you guys as possible. But that looks like, keeping your Bitcoin in a wallet for a certain amount of time, call it 3 to 6 months at least, in order for us to, continually offer those rewards to consumers, right?
So it would be like a certificate of deposit, but the rewards would be spendable.
Yes, more than likely.
Okay. Well, this has gone way too long. It has been very fun hanging out with you guys.
That has been.
All of you. Anything else you guys want to go over or talk about before we head out?
No. It's been a great opportunity to sit and chat with you here, Sean. And Daniel, always a pleasure to see you. And kind of just look forward to forging ahead on a path for the future. So. Yeah,
likewise. I mean, the bank process is not easy, right? Because if it was easy, it would be everybody would be doing it. Yeah, exactly.
There would be no unbanked.
Yeah, right, exactly. So what I would say though is that we've been down the process many times. It's what we do for a living. We have a great relationship with our banks, and it's just a matter of us going through that process. And what will happen is here's the other thing. When it all gets said and done, the bank will have done such a thorough vetting of Marlon and Jess personally that they will practically know who they are. So, so you can feel confident about that as well. Every time you have an additional level of verification, validation from banks and regulators, it's actually a positive thing, because then as a consumer, you can say, oh, well, like professionals have really kind of vetted these guys for me too.
Right.
So there's that.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that a lot of companies don't want to face that scrutiny, right? So the fact that you have people that are willing to go through that and comply with that process and then enhance that process in whatever way, you know, says something about the people.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, it was good hanging out with you guys. It was good hanging out with all of you. I'm gonna have links to Uberstate and to Ternio. Check them out. Like I said at the beginning of this, almost an hour ago, very excited about this partnership. I'm looking forward to what you guys are going to do. Y'all take care. I'll see you in the next video.
Okay. We'll see you, Sean. Thanks, Dan.
Bye.
Take care.